Hey, so welcome to another episode of the Contacts to Contracts podcast. I am Bryan Lovell, again here with our co-host, Mr. John Jones, and we have a special guest with us today as we continue our top producer series, Mr. Bryan P. Forrester. Bryan P., thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So just to start us out, give us a background when and what made you decide to get in the mortgage business. How did you start out?
Yeah, so I had moved back from Houston in the chemical industry. I moved back here to Tampa, and they were having some struggles. So in a previous life, I used to be a CPA, right? So I had sales experience, financial experience.
Numbers.
So, yeah, somebody said, hey, why don't you try mortgages? It just seemed like the easiest fit.
Crazy. And what was the lure to that for you? I mean, did they tell you can make a ton of money, or you have a ton of free time, or a little bit of both?
I want to have a business, work as you want, because as an employee, I was beholden to the the management and had to show up and all that stuff. So it was having your own business and unlimited potential of income.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. You say having your own business. I think regardless, Bryan runs a pretty big branch. We'll get into that in a second. But regardless of whether you do that or you're a single LO, this is an entrepreneurial business.
100%.
Right? And so if you have to, in my opinion, I think one of the things that like young loan originators make, or even young real estate agents make, meaning young in the business,
right,
not years, is we don't look at it as a business, right? And what you said is I didn't want to be beholden to an employer.
Right.
And I think that's a great reason to get into it. And then obviously the income potential is not too bad.
Yeah.
So what were the early days like? When did you get in?
What year? Give us the year.
March of 2004.
Okay.
A pretty good time to start in the
so
mortgage business.
we were clipping along at that point.
Yeah, we were getting to the apex there.
Yeah.
So it was pretty fun back then. Certainly the application was 22 pages, not 122 pages, right? So it was a little bit easier to do business.
Yeah. So like when did it start to click for you? Like in the early days, what would you say your production looked like on average in a month?
So on average, probably about 8 or 9 loans a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
From like your rookie year?
No. Well, by the third year.
Give us the truth. So,
right,
so typically the first 2 years in our industry,
yeah, like 3, 4 tops. Yeah, I was excited to get that 5th loan,
okay.
8th or 9th month. Yeah.
Curious, at any point did you ever think maybe this isn't for me? Like through that ride? Yeah,
there were times, because I came from the business world, right? So when I made an appointment, people would show up. Right.
Yep.
I called someone. They took my call. They kind of knew who I was. Right. Well, I came into a spot where they didn't know who I was, and I had a lot of no calls, no shows to appointments, pre-approvals. So I was wondering, well, do I want to keep doing this? And I just kept pushing through that.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, words of wisdom there. It's if you're a newer LO in the business, it takes we probably tell like real estate, maybe a year or two to really get your feet under you.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people. That first year, it's crazy. I got the worst pre-approvals. I got treated not so great. Yeah. It was just, you have to fight through that, and by that third year, we hit our stride, which was coincide 2007. That's when things were the best, right before
the crash.
Right until Bryan jumped in the business, right?
Yeah, right. April 2000, that's me, April 2007, I'm that guy. So, Bryan, so you said you were like the 3-4 loan a month guy.
That first year.
And then in a couple of years you had gotten up to, hey, I'm a solid 8. Like, how did you? That's a doubling of your business. How did you get there?
So it just became a part of reaching out and creating kind of that intentional calls to referral partners, instead of just saying, hey, I'll try that, hey, I'll try that. I said, okay, every week, Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, I'd call 20 different referral partners and tell them, hey, I'm available this weekend. Here's what's happening in the market. Just a 30-second, 90-second phone call.
Yep.
Little things like that.
So the basics, right, to some degree. It's like,
always.
Hey, I'm gonna go meet somebody. I'm gonna develop a relationship. See where I can add value, and those things just started to click for you?
Yeah, one of the things that I learned from Gary Keller, right, was you have to get right with the boredom of mastery. And I didn't know that's what I was doing. I didn't call it that. I didn't have a word for it. But at the end of the day, you say fundamentals. Well, that's kind of the way it works.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've heard him say it a different way. I've heard him say success is boring. right? And the reason success is boring is because it's essentially a mastery of doing the same activities over and over and over again. And what happens is a lot of people get bored to that point. And they're like, oh, let me try something else. And they forgot what got them there in the first place, or, John, you and I were talking yesterday about, or maybe it was today, people want to chase this big, shiny object, but forget the basics that got them there.
New technology, this neat, shiny thing. I can try that, some fancy
rather
voicemail.
Than just picking up the phone and making a call.
Yeah. You're doing all these things where you're not actually touching people. Well, that's how you do it. You touch people.
Right.
Yeah. So 2008 rolls around. The world changes a little bit in our world.
That was fun. And you look back, and so that's kind of where I made it, if you will, because everything was changing all the time. Not as much as people said it was. It's changing every day. No, I mean, every month something new would come out or change. And so knowing those inside and out, being able to set the record straight every month, every week with my agents, because they'd say, hey, I heard you can do this, can't do this. Well, actually, no, here's the deal. That got me going. And so I figured, oh my gosh, well, if I keep understanding and knowing these guidelines, I'll stand out because everyone else doesn't seem to get it.
You were keeping everybody informed.
Yeah, and it was, so that's part of my, my CPA background. I like guidelines are easy. I go through them, know them, and we move on, and it kind of sets us apart.
Yeah.
So in your business, it sounds like for most loan officers, you're focusing on real estate agents. Correct?
For the most part, yeah.
Your target.
Real estate agents and financial planners.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that.
So at the end of the day, you don't get many, but those are the easiest referrals because you're part of their team. And so here's the thing. Back in 2018, I did the largest loan in all of VanDyk over in Lutz, Florida. Not,
Wow.
Tom said, hey, what's the beach? No, for like 1.8 million. It was just from a financial planner. Said, hey, you got to call my guy. He'll take care of you. We're moving up. And there was no shopping, no nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great. I would say that in my origination career, my top referral source was actually a financial planner. It wasn't a real estate agent.
Yeah, I believe it. You just position yourself as part of their team. Just call Bryan, he's on my team, and you take care of him.
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you think, I know we kind of asked this, but 2008 rolls around, and I love your story because you said you really learned a lot, and that's where you really started to cook with gas, so to speak. What did you do different? I mean, I know that you became the educator. Hey, I understood guidelines. I was the voice of reason. But were there any things that you did specifically outside of that to just keep plowing that road?
It was, again, it goes back to the fundamentals. It was, teaching classes, sending out an email. I used to do a lot of video emails back then about, hey, did you know? Right, so Friday I do the calls. I would leave, hey, did you know? I'd send out video emails to people that I didn't call. Hey, did you know? Hey, this is changing. This is coming. You can do 5% down, 10% down, whatever it was. So again, it goes back to that just keeping people updated of what's happening. People would say, hey, listen, I hear nobody's lending. I heard that, time and time. Nobody. Yeah, they are. If you have a credit score, you have a down payment, you have a job, you're going to get a loan. It may take a little while.
It changed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
The no money down, gone. It went back to traditional.
No documentation. You had to show your assets. You had to have a decent credit score.
Job.
Yeah, had to
all that stuff.
Some cash coming in.
So, Bryan, what does your business look like today? Like what kind of volume do you have? What does your team look like?
So right now we've got 2 loan officers, a transaction coordinator, and 2 admin.
Okay.
So let me just shift gears enough to jump back though. So at some point you made a decision to make your first hire. Tell us what got you to that point. And how that all happened.
Pretty much,
who was that person?
Laura Lynn pretty much beat me for 2 years, saying you need to do it, you need to do it, because who can do it better than me?
Nobody.
Right?
Nobody.
But she's right. I listened to.
No.
I listened to her finally, and so I hired somebody to help with the paper, an admin to help with the paperwork, and it kind of took off from there.
Because my guess, you were closing 6, 8, 10 deals a month,
6 to 7
and
to
stuck
8,
there, right?
Yep.
You can't get to that next level.
Couldn't get to the next level, and all of a sudden, when that happened, well, then well, I kind of had a life back. I wasn't working every day and every night, right? So that was nice.
Yep.
And then it kind of grew from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so to segue in, so now again, your team consists of?
Yeah, 2 loan officers, 2 admin, and a transaction coordinator.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the volume you've got.
So I think we've done 222 units year to date,
Okay.
something like that, like 45 million.
Phenomenal.
What percentage of that would you say is purchase versus refi?
I'm going to say it's about 66% purchase, maybe a little less, somewhere in the 60% purchase range.
Okay.
The difference this year has been 48% of our volume is past customer and Sphere.
Okay.
And that's a big change for us.
Yep.
I don't know if we're going to get into this later, but then what COVID did was change where my focus went.
So you shifted gears and you realized I'm going to go back and touch my past clients.
I have all these.
Intentionally.
I've been saying for years, right?
Yeah.
That's been
Yeah.
a gaping
Huge
hole.
database, right? Yep.
Transparency wasn't the best thing we did, and so with COVID, it became a necessity. I've got 17 years worth of past customers. It turns out, they like me, so that's
They
that's
gave
good.
you the 5-star on the survey,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think in our industry, and for many of us in sales, real estate, most definitely, we all fall into the chase the new deal, right?
Yeah.
Next.
Chase the new customer, work that customer, and forget that we've done a great job with hundreds and hundreds of past clients that would love or need our services, and we just keep moving forward and never find that time where, Brian Buffini always taught, right? That's 30% of your database is going to get you 30% of your deals.
Easily.
If you work your database and you do make those touches.
Yeah, they know me, like me, trust me already.
Yeah. So how was it when you reached out to them? What kind of response were you getting?
It was great to hear from you. So glad. Oh, I was just thinking about you. I heard that song. I was just thinking about you. You were?
Right.
Wow.
So great. And so that even to this day, even as of today, we picked up 2 past customer referrals, which, it's just crazy where that's coming from.
Yeah.
How are you staying in touch with them though, Brian?
So it's a mix of emails and mostly phone calls.
Okay.
I like the touch. Every day we're calling. We set a goal. We're trying to call like 5 people a day. I want to make sure I hit as many as I can. I don't make it every day.
Right.
Yet the fact that we're intentional about doing that.
You at least have a starting place.
Yeah,
Right.
I can say I'm moving forward versus saying, oh, I wish I could do it. I was thinking about doing it. No, I do it. I'm not perfect. Yet I reached out to 2 people instead of none yesterday.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think sometimes without having an actual plan, you're never gonna, like they say, perfection is the enemy of done. Right.
Yeah.
And without having that actual plan, I think I'm gonna do it. I think I'd like to do it. But even if you don't get to it every day, the fact that you had an idea or a plan to do it is actually what I meant to say. You're going to at least do something. Right? You're going to at least get started. Whether you got all the way there or not, you're going to at least get started.
Yeah, but the thing was, when I've been saying I'm going to do it, I didn't do it today. You know what? Forget it. I didn't do it the next day. I'd say, well, I didn't do it yesterday. I didn't do it today. Forget it. I'll do it tomorrow. Now that I've got days and days in a row, I don't want to let that stop.
Right.
Yeah.
That momentum.
I think, going back to kind of growing your team, I feel a lot of people got into this business, like we talked earlier, because they wanted an unlimited income potential. I think that's actually
That
a
and
myth.
time. I think it's.
I think, yeah, you're right, and time. I think the unlimited income potential is a myth in our business.
Yep.
And the reason I say that it's a myth is that we're all only capable of doing so much. At some point, you've got to get the leverage, you've got to get some help to do it, and that's what you started to do. But, whether, for John, that might be 6 loans a month. For me, that might be 10. For Brian P. Forrester, that might only be 2. But we all have our lid on how much business we can actually do. And that's the cap on your income potential until you start to build a group or build a team. So, you talked about how for you that was right around 6 to 8 loans per month.
Yep.
And then you started getting into, hey, what's that first step in making a hire? And you explained to us that was an admin. I'm just curious, what were some of the challenges that you've had in growing your team to where it's at today?
So Mercy hires. I'm on fire. I need to get someone in now.
I need a body.
Yeah,
Anybody with a pulse.
That's not
Let's
a
go.
great strategy. We've done that, unfortunately. So
We all have. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a personality. Not going deep enough. Those have been some issues from time to time, and sometimes we've nailed it. I feel like the staff I've got now is, they've all been with me, 4 years or more, and it's been a great run. So you get lucky. You kiss a lot of frogs to get to the one. The thing about the unlimited income, and I do want to touch on that for a second, is
Please.
They see it now, and we're closing 25 loans a month, whatever. But they don't see the work it took to get there. They just walk in and see it. Well, I want some of that. Why can't I make that? Well, you didn't see what happened behind the scenes.
You got to crawl before you walk.
Yeah, they didn't. They realized that they don't know that how many no call, no show appointments I went on where they didn't show up, or I just got used leverage to get a better rate for somebody else because they were they didn't see all that. And so I want to make sure that I'm trying to get them to understand it's not going to be day one. Yeah, you have to put in the time and effort.
Absolutely.
It's not 9 to 5.
Yeah. So you said, and some of the challenges in growing your team was the mercy hires, and the behind the scenes story on that is you made some bad hires.
Oh, yeah.
How have you grown as a professional and as a leader as you've taken the steps to grow your team to where it's at right now? Did anything have to change about Bryan P?
Oh, all day long. I had to slow down and take inventory of myself to see, well, how am I behaving? What am I thinking? And I'd been taught that gratitude matters. And once I'm coming from that point, they're working with me, for me, not against me. That's kind of like, if I see them that way, it goes much easier, and we get along a lot better, and things seem to work out.
Bryan, do you have a coach by any chance?
I do now.
Okay.
Pat Mancuso.
Okay. So how has that started to change some things for you?
It's changed quite a bit. I've been with him for a couple of months now, and so during COVID, we talked a little bit about this, where I've been working a lot of hours. We 7 days a week, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day. So we've kind of cut back on that and been intentional with spending time out of the office. And I think I've got some of that back.
Okay. Yeah. So that's helped you get some more time.
More time and same volume without sacrificing volume.
Any of your volume.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Working smarter.
Yeah, and so we're getting more intentional on the marketing plan, the business plan. Things are great, but now I can leverage better. He's got some ideas on things I haven't thought about. I'm always looking for that distinction, because obviously I don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
But I know he's seen it. Other people have seen it, so I want to know what works.
Yeah. So we've been fortunate during COVID. You said you're super busy, working 10, 12 hours a day with low interest rates. Do you have any forecasts for us now that as we finish up 2020, but into 2021? I mean, rates, we anticipate rates staying low at least the first half of the year.
Oh yeah, at least nothing crazy or cattywampus where it's going to 5% or 6%. We get a world catastrophe or something, rates will head back down. But how low can they really go? With all the the redemptions and payoffs and all that stuff that are less than 6 months, or how long does it take to recoup your money? Servicing a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure they want to stem that. So I don't think rates will be that crazy low, but they won't be that crazy
But
high.
still an amazing time if you haven't already pulled the trigger to refinance a property or get out and buy a property.
Yeah.
Statistically, I listened to Barry Habib this morning talk year over year. Whether we're up, down, or flat in sales, and he made mention on MBS Highway that we were up year over year nationwide 20% in purchase transactions.
Yeah.
So and combining that with record low inventory, which is pretty remarkable. So I think we're going to continue to see a booming, strong purchase market as well, and a battling for the inventory.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, John, you have visibility to this with a pretty decent sized company. Overall, we've been really strong on the purchase market in terms of year over year too. We've just got some pockets where maybe we haven't been, and those are, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. There's cases where people like Bryan had huge databases that they've had for 15, 20, 30 years, and they pushed all their chips in on that, and they've done really, really well.
Right.
And they'll have to shift that business again, but in the meantime, they went after it and got it, and kudos to them. But yeah, I think that's a good point. I don't think a lot of people realize, because of low inventory, that housing is really up pretty big.
Yep.
And then it will continue to be that way for a number of years. So it's a great opportunity.
Without a doubt.
BP, what do you think's next for you? Like, what's the next thing that you need to take your business? Do you even want to take your business to the next level?
Yeah, we were just talking about that. We do. I think the next hire is going to be some sort of like an operations manager, back office piece to help take off some of that so that I can go focus on the, rainmaking.
What you like to do.
Yeah,
Right.
what I like to do, what I'm good at, solving the Rubik's Cube of the deal and bringing them in. I love self-employed borrowers. They're easy,
From a CPA, by the
Wow.
way. From a CPA, by the way.
That was entirely different than the conversation I had an hour ago with an LO.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Mumbling something about Loan Beam.
Yeah, that's the thing about our businesses. I think there's people who either get the self-employed borrower or they don't.
Right.
And truthfully, I'm no CPA, and I'm not the smartest guy at this table. But it's not, if you slow down and you really look at it, it's not as hard as a lot of people make it out to be.
6 fields, 6 boxes.
Yeah, it's about 6 boxes.
And
You're
a
a
whole
teacher.
return.
I've got a class for you to teach.
Okay.
I mean, you've been successful. That's another thing. Everybody in this business, that if you look back, the ones that are truly having great years and have had many, many great years, you know how to put a loan together. I mean, you've got to know how to structure deals and put a deal together. So,
Wow.
Kudos to you for doing it. But I mean, we still have people that want to get in the business and jump ahead, so to speak, and maybe skip a few steps. And go get the business, but not really know how to structure. And it's talk about how important that is. And even from a confidence standpoint, when you're out selling, you want to know what you're selling.
Well, I think that there's 2 things that make our industry unique in terms of sales. My product that I'm selling, I'm not only selling a rate or a product, but also how to make that work.
It's a puzzle.
Right? It's a puzzle and make that work. And so my feeling has always been, if I make this as clean as possible and turn it in, the people who are going to work on it downstream are going to like me and look at my file first because they know it's going to be clean, nice. They don't have to decipher it and figure it out. Yep. If I make it easy as can be for them, then they're going to make my life easier. And so that's kind of the...
And you've got a good deal. You've got something that's going to close with very few hiccups and you can go to sleep at night.
Well, that's the thing. When we say yes, we mean yes.
I mean yes.
Yeah. I don't want to go back.
Yeah. It's done.
I got things to do.
You might as well be the underwriter.
Yeah.
I mean, mine is just, dot the I, cross a few T's, but to that point, you've got a deal.
Brian, you bring up a good point, and a lot of times we look at what we're talking about in terms of, I know how to structure a deal, I can figure out the complexity of it and all of that. Right. I think about how many originators who don't take the time to study and learn guidelines and how to massage a deal and all of that turn business away because they couldn't figure out how to do it.
It's too scary for them.
And they got the deal done somewhere else. I think that says a lot. We tend to look at it from a different perspective, but I think sometimes we need to look at it as loan officers from what business did you let go somewhere else? Mm-hmm. Because you didn't take the time, again, to invest in yourself, make sure you understand how to put a deal together.
And that's the point. I was a CPA. I know tax returns. However, I did take a number of there's classes all the time. We've had
there's no
shortage.
The MI companies roll them out every month. There's plenty of opportunity.
Oh yeah, so I was taking those all the time because it
changed.
Yeah, and it pertained to how are they reading it and what are they going to use of those boxes and what we used. One year we could use, the next year, you couldn't. So that's the huge piece, is staying on top of that.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions here as we kind of come to the end of our time together. One is, for the loan officer that's listening to this podcast right now that's, doing really well, like they're closing 4, 5, 6 deals a month. That's awesome, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That they want to go from where they're at to doubling that business. Yeah. What would be your advice to them? So
it starts with leverage, but it's getting those things that are not dollar-producing activities off of my plate.
Yeah,
we talk about this all the time. If I can focus on those things that bring in the more business, the relationship piece versus I'm working on a spreadsheet, putting some stuff together, sending an email. That doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, there's sometimes I think one of the, and being transparent, I've done this before too, is we spend so much time getting ready to get ready, we don't actually go out and get after it, Yeah. And part of that is because I'm just delaying the activity that I don't want to do. Right?
Those 10 or 20 calls that I don't want to make.
Let me find something to keep me busy.
Let me pull that. Let me pull that tax return. Look at it one more time.
But you find once you do it and you get started, this is not so bad. It's easy. It's
Yes.
just getting over that inertia to get over that first.
So
hump.
you said something just a minute ago, but every day, I'm guessing every day now, you have a plan to do something that's going to generate a deal for you.
Yeah,
a lead.
If you look at my schedule, there's 2 blocks that say calls on it every day. So
Right.
sometimes I don't make calls for the entire block, but I am
But
making
you're
calls.
fishing, that's the important thing too,
All day
because
long.
as an LO, especially a new LO, we do tend to get our first few deals and forget all about that part.
I want to work on this thing, put it all
Yep.
together. Yeah, and I forget.
and
What are the times of day that you make those calls?
So I have it from 10:30 to 11:30, and then
Okay.
from 1 to 2.
So right before you go to lunch and right after lunch.
Yep. The important thing though is probably to knock them. Don't wait or don't delay until late afternoon.
Oh.
Again, you're just procrastinating and you're not going to get to it, or something else is going to light a fire, and you've got to tend to it.
Well, I mean, I think a perfect example of that is, and I'll just take it to something that's not business related, but for me, if I don't get up in the
To the
morning
gym.
and go to the gym, I have this mindset of, hey, you know what? I'm not going to get up early this morning and go to the gym. I'm going to go to the gym tonight at like 6 or 6:30. The probability of me actually doing that is low
Drops.
compared to if I just
Sure.
go do it in the morning. It drops,
Yep.
Yeah.
to your point. Because what happens at the end of the day, you're like, I don't feel like doing that. Man, it's been a long day. I'm just ready to, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lesson to be learned there about getting out of the way, early in the day.
Yeah.
BP, talk to me a little bit about business planning. How big of a piece of the pie is that for you?
Well, it's turned into a very big piece, right? Because it's not just me, so it grew on what I want everyone else to do besides me, but also within me, it's identifying where am I spending my time, what's important to me. And something you taught me was, whatever I'm doing, we're tracking it. Is it working? Well, then if it's not, stop doing it. And that's been a big aha, because I'm thinking, oh, come on, I know I can make this work. I can make, just move on to something that does.
Yeah. Or you might learn that, hey, this is working so well, I need to double it down.
Right.
I need to do more of it.
Absolutely.
So with as big of an organization as you have, you're saying business planning isn't just important for you, it's important for the whole team.
Group, yeah.
So, what does it give your teammates to have that?
So it gives them a map, if you will, of what their responsibility, and they have a hand in what we're doing, right? They know the goal for the year, and so they know whatever it is they're doing is getting us closer to that goal, and we want to celebrate that.
So
Yeah.
you had mentioned 290, maybe 300 units next year. So that goal, that vision, everybody sees and everybody can share and work towards.
All day long.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Sure, and I'm sure you're sharing with them, hey, this is the success we're having. This is how we're making it happen.
Yeah.
I just think from that perspective too, it gives everybody clarity, right? It sounds like the way you're structured it, and through working with your coach and through doing business planning, that everybody in your team has some clarity as to exactly what their role is and what activities are the critical ones to make sure that they're successful in that role. And I think it also helps, I think for the most part, people want to know that they're doing a good job. But
Right.
that if they don't ever know what success looks like, how will they ever know they're doing a good job? And so you're kind of laying out for the whole team, this is what success looks like through having that plan.
Yeah, and then when we get together, we talk about, we've accomplished this, and here's our
Celebrate your
numbers.
wins, yeah.
Yeah, we talk about that, and it's like, wow, I had a couple of staff say, wow, I didn't know we did that, and we did that well. So yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
great. So that just was the aha. Oh well, so now we're going to celebrate this all the time.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Bryan, is there anything that you wish John and I would have asked you?
How about the Florida State Seminoles football team? How are they doing? I'd say
Not
great.
well, it doesn't appear.
Evidently not.
They apparently don't have a clear plan or vision.
They've got a vision.
Or
You just got to work.
coaching.
They got to put in the time. They got to put in the time, and that's the thing. Listen, nothing comes easy, right? It's something worth having. You have to work for it. So I think it's great. We do all these great numbers, and we have all these people, but the idea is we're still doing the same thing every day. If I keep doing that, I just worry about. And we talk about this. I just worry about the activity. That little thing that I do every day will get me the results I want. I can't worry about the result. I'm just worrying about what I'm doing.
Yeah. And that's the whole perfection is the enemy of done piece,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, dude, nice work, bro.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
for
having us.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah, that was awesome.
Thanks for having it. Thanks for being here, I should say. So that wraps up our time together with Mr. Bryan P. Forrester. Bryan, thanks for joining us. On behalf of John Jones, I'm Bryan Lovell. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Contracts to Contacts podcast. If you like what you see here, don't forget to subscribe on our YouTube channel. Find us on Facebook. You can like us there and follow us there, and always on Spotify as well. And if you like what you see, don't forget to share. Thanks for joining us. We're out.